What we're going to be talking about is basically using augmented reality to adapt your world around you into a creative play space or an environment. It's an idea that people have talked about before. It's something that we wanted to dabble in a little bit. So we're going to present a demo in a little bit showcasing this. So the idea, again, is discovering kind of your magical world around you that's hidden in this digital layer on top of your real world. We're focusing it mostly in video games, and traditionally with video games, all the way back to the very start of them, it has been about escaping the reality and kind of going into this digital content layer. Even the 2D games, you as the player and the user tend to get immersed inside of that world. For the first time, now that we have augmented reality for the first time, we have the ability to adapt our physical world into the video game itself. Adding extra layer contents and engaging the player on a personal level that you could never really do before. You have the ability, if you want to play a board game, you snap your fingers and here's the board game, as Mark Zuckerberg said. Just drop any content down you want wherever you're looking, wherever you can play. So how do you turn your room into a video game? And using augmented reality, it allows you to map that digital content right onto your space, view it in your living room. Using sensors, using advanced algorithms, it's allowed you to map out that space, look at surface normals, look at different pieces of geometry. And what we have now written is taking that geometry and adapting it into a spatial world based on that content, making a unique experience laid on top of that physical world that you're in. So this is an idea that we had been wanting to play around with for a while. The hackathon that was here last October was a great opportunity for us to kind of sit down and over 48 hours prototype out a concept for this. It's a great event. I encourage everyone to come check it out next year. I'm hoping they're still going to be running it. I think it was one of the largest hackathons that we've ever had. And it was a great experience. You meet a ton of great people, and you come up with some really fun and unique ideas. So we needed a game, and you need a good game. And so we sat long and hard, and we were thinking through it, knowing the limitations of the technology, knowing where everything was at right now. And we decided, when in doubt, stick with the classics. Look back on what is a tried and true game that works, that people have enjoyed, for ages. So we decided on Rampart. Not that Rampart. That Rampart's terrible. This Rampart. This Rampart was awesome. It was an old classic game, very simple and addictive gameplay, repetitive. You build some little castles, you defend them from some pirate ships. It was a simple single-click interface, which, as if you all know, the HoloLens has a great technology, but right now is pretty much a single-click interface. So you don't want to make anything that's too complex. So the point-and-click style interface works really well with that. It even had multiplayer capabilities in there, which AR technology, we can do networking, you can do multiplayer, two-player back and forth type of situations. So over the course of that 48 hours, we developed a prototype which walked around, mapped the room, turned that room into a little playscape for us where we could drop down towers, have some pirate ships sailing around. And thankfully, we submitted it in. We weren't sure about it, but what we ended up getting was Microsoft gave us best use of the mixed reality platform off of that initial prototype we had. So we knew we were onto something that was kind of fun and engaging. Everyone seemed to really enjoy it when they walked around and looked at it. So we then, in our after hours since October, have been slowly plugging away, kind of testing, learning some stuff, adding some stuff in, and we started building out, better shaders, better models, better textures, better spatial understanding, looking at what works in the technology, what doesn't. Are there any new mechanics we can start bringing in that take the old gameplay that was fun and engaging, but modernizes it going forward? So we have a game called Archipelago now, or Archipelago. We love puns, and so now we're going to show you our demo, which hopefully we can go over and tap live stream. And so Tin has the headset on right now, and he should hopefully have started scanning the environment a little bit. And what we're going to do, it seems a little weird, but we're just going to put some trash up here on the stage. the concept of this is going to be, you know, what's lying around in your living room, what's in the world that you're existing in, because everyone's house is different, every play space is different, and it's all adaptable. So what he needs to do is he's going to start off, and I'll move over to the side here, and he's going to scan the environment that he's in. So the spatial understanding is going to start looking at the world, picking up different platforms, different surfaces that can build on, and start laying over, you know, the spatial understanding map on top of that. As he goes through and completes the room, it's slowly picking out areas that we could place units down, areas that are counted as the floor, that are areas that the pirate ships and the enemies could move around. It'll even map the ceiling and the sky and the walls and everything. It's going to map me, I think. It's probably going to make a mountain out of me over here when he's done with it. Yeah, there we go. I can see the mesh is working up me here. So as this is scanning, I think it generally will get about a 30-foot, 40-foot area around you that it can pull in. So plenty of space for your living room. If you've got ceiling fans and all that, it all gets kind of put in there. When he's done scanning, he's going to complete the scan. It's going to wrap everything up and turn it into a series of meshes, which we then take and run through some shaders and some other stuff, that those meshes get populated with everything. And eventually what it's going to do is turn it into a play space. So now what's happened is it's taken all those meshes, it's looked at it, and it's saying, okay, so the top of these boxes, for example, we know that they're at a certain height. We know, you know, the direction they're facing. So let's turn that into a grass play space we can work on. We know the sides of the boxes would be rocky, so we can put some textures on the rock there. And then what he actually just did was he raised the sea level up, because it was actually down here below the stage. It was below the stage down there. So he raises the sea level up, and so what that did is it brings the water level up to match with the rock surfaces here. So you can actually adapt the environment you're in. So let's say you have a series of couches and tall environments in your house. You know, maybe you make the game more challenging by raising the water up to a higher level where you have less play space that you can actually build. He's now going around and constructing some little villages to protect on those little islands that he's created in the area. But then you need to protect those villages with some cannons, because you're going to have some pirates coming in here and shooting at trying to blow up your houses. You know, you need those houses to generate an economy in this game. That's how you kind of construct and keep building. The idea being that you explore your environment, learn what's inside of it, and then you have to build inside that environment, but then you have to defend that environment from the pirates that are coming in. So Tin is, as he's placing down these walls, which will help prevent the pirate ships from coming in and blowing up his little houses. Here comes the pirate ship sailing across the water here. As he's constructing these environments and dropping in the towers down on there, we have it that the objects, when they get placed, are looking at the mesh that they're dropping in on, and they're adapting themselves to fit that mesh. The idea being that when you drop a tower onto, you know, the edge of your table or your couch or something like that, you don't want it to just look generic and placed there. You want it to actually meld itself to that surface. So the geometry gets a little broken right now because this is still early development, but the concept is that the models and everything are pushing themselves to match the environment as best as they can, so you really feel like this is a digital world that's attached on top of your living room. And right now, this is more of a simulation of how the gameplay will actually function and keep going. Realistically, we're going to add in targeting reticles, the ability for you to fire cannons back and forth at the enemy ships. We have some rough networking capabilities in here. We're going to expand on that, so you can do collaborative shared between HoloLens, co-op or multiplayer maybe. But the idea being that you'll be going through these rounds similar to the very old classic Rampart, where it will be a build phase and then a defend phase, and go back and forth between that until either high score or however we see an end state going. But most likely just keeping to that classic mentality of how much can you keep building, does it work, and as you eventually lose your villages to pirate attack and multiple excessive waves of it, eventually you'll probably get a game over and start over. But the beauty of this is when you lose that game, which is inevitable, you can just rearrange your furniture and launch an entire new level if you really wanted to try out what works best. If you have some bookshelves, do you place some little villages high on your bookshelves to make them more defended from the pirates or not? So that is our current prototype that we have right now. Again, the game is called Archipelago. We love puns. The next immediate goals we're going to do with this game are finishing the core gameplay mechanics. Again, this has been built in our free time after our real day jobs, but it's a very fun thing to do. So we're going to keep polishing the game, making the gameplay feel really concise and consistent. We have, again, multiplayer functionality in there. We want to eventually get that working where you can have two castles that are battling back and forth. So I can be building castles over here, and Tin can be building his castle over there, and we're lobbing cannonballs back and forth. Our long-term goals is, as we see this, given that the HoloLens in its current state, being very early and everything, is not a viable market to release a functioning game on to actually generate any revenue. But it's all the same code base thanks to Microsoft as a mixed reality headsets. So it allows us to take this same gameplay and adapt it over into the MR headsets, either with importing our own meshes or sharing meshes between your friends and everything, or even just randomly generating one in your living room based on however we build the interface out, but having this stuff translate to other platforms. Using both motion controllers or mobile phones, for example. The core gameplay is there as long as we can get mesh scan data on any of the tech as it starts to expand. This can then work in that. The build itself, we're trying to keep it as light as possible so that it could work on mobile if need be. We want to eventually add in the ability for people to kind of customize their own textures, maybe share and build stuff so that you can really make it feel unique to your world that you're in your room. So that's our game right now. Who we are, I'm Scott Niejadlik. Again, I'm a developer here in Boston and Cambridge. Tin is another developer here as well. He's an MIT alumni. Kostas Frost, and then Sean Nealon, who I don't know if he's in the room here. But we were the original team at the hackathon. We've been slowly building again and working on this more. We encourage you all to come check out our demo. It's in the back hallway there. I don't know if you liked what you saw in here, but it looks really, really cool in the headset, and it's amazing to see little pirate ships floating around your feet and sailing around you. And we'd love to chat and see what you think about it, and keep seeing where you could see this idea going on. And if not with this one, but do you have any ideas that are similar that you'd like to expand on? So we encourage you to be in touch. We have a website. The website is not live yet. It's parked, but we're going to put the content up there. But the email address is working, so feel free to email us. That's it. Is there any questions?